So we'll try to understand kind of a development and production architecture, how it looks like. But today I'll just briefly touch upon, I'll not go over the production architecture in detail, just to give you a very basic concept, how it exactly works, some kind of a pictorial presentation, and slowly we will keep that architecture in mind, and slowly as we progress over the courses, right, over this course, we will understand that particular architecture, very well. Okay, so with that, let's get started. Yes, so if you see this diagram, this is kind of a development architecture we generally follow in our development environment or test environment. Now, if you see, there are few terms we can visualize here. One is app driver, second one is Mongos, third one is MongoD, and the fourth one is config.db. Okay, one by one, what is that? So yesterday we did not use Mongos. We simply use MongoD and Mongo client. So what happens is, when I am connecting to MongoD and I am having only one instance, I can directly connect to that MongoD either using using my application driver or my Mongo client directly to MongoD. Other option is, for example, if you need to actually build a sharded cluster, your MongoD can work as a shard or a single node of your cluster. In that case, what you can do is you can connect that MongoD from your Mongos, okay, and the Mongos will act between the app driver or Mongo client and the MongoD. So what happens is, from your application driver or from your Mongo client, you connect to Mongos, and Mongos internally connect to the MongoD. Here in the development environment, we have only one node. Try to visualize if you have multiple nodes. Okay, so here is one node, one and some other node, here is one more node, something of that kind. Say for example, if you have multiple nodes, right, then from your application driver, you do not have to connect to multiple nodes. You connect to only the Mongos, and internally Mongo will connect to multiple nodes and get the data for you. To do that, Mongos take help of a configuration database which we call config.db. This is just a very high level introduction of this architecture. When we go ahead, right, we will actually implement that in practical, so it will be much more easier for you to digest. But just for the timing, try to understand in a way that Mongos is a query router which acts between your Mongo and MongoD or sharded cluster, and config database, it actually contains the metadata of this information, that which data is being kept in which cluster or in which node. So what I say, config database is another MongoDB process which contains the metadata of the actual data which is being kept in the MongoD. Which data has been kept in which shard or which node, that metadata is there in the config database. What Mongos does, it gets the query, go to config.db, okay, it understands that, okay, for this data I need to go to, say for example, the 5th node or the 6th node. It will go to that node and get the data. This is a development kind of environment where I can do with, I can live with only one MongoDB process. But in case of production like architecture, how it will look like is something like this. Now if you see this, the box at the bottom, try to understand or try to visualize this as a cluster. Okay, there you have multiple nodes. Okay, you have multiple nodes or multiple so one node is called a shard in a sharded cluster. Okay, anyway, in the sharding concept, we will go through this in detail, so do not confuse that. Just try to understand that you have multiple clusters. Okay, Mongo's is one of the interface which acts as a query router between this, and from your application driver or from your Mongo client, and instead of connecting to multiple cluster or multiple node, what you do, you connect to the Mongos, and internally Mongo will do the distribution of the query, routing of the query, do read-write operations. To do that, Mongo's takes help of the configuration database, because configuration database, it contains the metadata of this cluster. Say for example, if you just try to remember our 1 terabyte example, so let's say you have 1 terabyte of data and you have distributed into, let's say, 4 chunks, 256 GB, 256 GB, 256 GB and 256 GB. There are 4 distribution. So the config database will have the metadata that which node is containing which 256 GB. So it will give the way it will actually work is Mongo's get the metadata from the configuration database, and it will directly go to that particular node or that particular cluster. In that case, Mongo's does not have to scan the whole terabyte of data to get a specific data. Okay, this is just a high-level overview of the production architecture. I do not want to confuse you. Only thing is that I just want to give you some brief, and you can keep that in mind. The more we go forward, we will read this more and more. Let me see if I have any question. Okay, so Murli is asking what information is written back to config.db. I think Murli, now you have got the answer, right? Yes, great. Oh, Apurv Krishnan, hi, this is Apurv. Sorry for joining in late. No problem, Apurv. We have just started. So, Apurv, did you join our yesterday's class as well, or this is your first class? This is my first class. Okay, not a problem. Okay, not a problem. Okay, then Leo is asking how app server identify which Mongos to be connected, or how is it done? So Leo, as I was just discussing, app server connect. Okay, generally in production like scenario, what happens is you actually have multiple Mongos, and on top of the Mongos, right, you generally have a load balancer. Either it's a HTTP load balancer or maybe a hardware load balancer. So it actually have a client affinity to connect all the Mongos, and from your application driver or from your Mongo client, you connect to multiple Mongos using that load balancer. Okay, so all the different Mongos, right? Let's say you have 3 Mongos, all the different Mongos, they work similarly. Okay. Okay, so Bhavesh is asking Mongo is equal to query router, correct? Yes, Bhavesh, this is absolutely correct. Krishna is asking, is there replication on the cluster? Example, if 256 GB is in one node, and if that node is down, is that 256 GB present on that server? Replication I have not told you, Krishna. Just hold on to this question just for a few minutes. I'll come to it. Okay, replication I have not told you yet. Apurv Krishnan is saying, I'll go through the videos for the previous class. Okay, no problem, Apurv, sorry. Leo is saying, who writes the information into the config files, the metadata? Yes, absolutely. So Leo, what happens is, we will actually go over this when we in our sharding class, but just for your information, the moment you try to create the cluster, right, the moment you're actually configuring the cluster, that is the moment this the configuration database, the configuration process, it actually captures all the information about all the shards or all the nodes, for example. So it's part of the configuration actually. Okay, so Abhijit is saying, what are we studying right now? Okay, so Abhijit, today we will be actually going through CRUD concepts. So, but before that, I just wanted to give you a very brief visualization of how a production architecture look like. This is just a high-level thing, and just for your visualization, because the more we go forward with the classes, you just keep that diagram into your mind, and you try to apply it realistically. That's it. Dinesh is saying config will store metadata details, like in which cluster metadata is stored. Am I right? Yes, Dinesh, you're absolutely right. So config will store metadata about that, which data is there in which node, for example. That is the metadata. Config will work similarly as name node. You can say like that, though a little bit different, because directly you do not, I mean, from application server, right, you do not connect to config, you connect to Mongos. Okay, you can tell like that, it has the metadata information, right? Okay, one more thing. Let's say what we have told, we have said that there were, let's say, 1 terabyte of data, and we have distributed it into multiple shard. So shard 1, shard 2, shard 3 is one node, for example, or one shard. Okay, so that 256 GB is there in this shard 1, another 256 GB is there in this shard 1, third 256 GB is there in this shard 1, like that. Okay, now if you see, inside shard 1, I have 3 MongoD. What does that mean? That means I have one primary process which is having that 256 GB data, and other two are there to support my primary. If primary goes down, other two become primary inside that shard. So the moment we are talking about replication, Krishna just asked me the same questions. The moment we are talking about replication, right? So replication actually works inside this box. So for example, inside shard 1, I have configured a replication mechanism. So this box is containing 256 GB data, and that 256, just for an example, do not take that 256 GB literally. Just for an example, so that 256 GB data is there in the first MongoD, for example, and for example, we call it as a primary member of this shard. Other two members are called as secondary, which are there because if primary goes down, then one of them will become primary. How they will become primary, what is the process, I will not go into those details because those are kept for replication classes. Just try to think this way, that any one shard is not a single MongoDB process in production. A shard should be a combination of few MongoDB process which creates a replica set. Replica set is nothing but combination of few MongoDB process which are having duplicate of data. So for example, the moment I am talking about the first 256 GB data here, the same 256 GB is here as well. The second set of 256 GB is here in the shard 2. So the second set of 256 GB is in the second box as well as in the third box also. And likewise for the other nodes. So one node is actually a replica set which can have multiple MongoDB process. Okay, and all the MongoDB process are built as a replica set containing the duplicate of same copy of the data to achieve the high availability. Okay, now let's see if Krishna is clear now. So Krishna, you got it, right? Okay, yes, he said got it. Okay, Gangadhar is saying, where will config reside, in a single server or in all the servers where all the data is loaded? Yeah, I'll just come to it, Gangadhar. So basically what happens is, generally in production, for all different nodes, right, we generally dedicate one single system. Because say for example I have 3 MongoD inside one shard one. So for example I'll have actually 3 different separate systems altogether, because I do not want to end up with a single point of failure. One system goes down and the full replica set will go down. I'll not end up with that situation. I'll actually put all the different MongoD into different servers, all different config into different servers, different servers in the sense different systems. And as you know that in a distributed architecture like MongoDB, we are actually supporting this horizontal scaling or scaling out with a very less cost or low cost commodity hardwares. So truly speaking, you do not have to buy a very high class server class system for the servers. You can go with low cost commodity hardwares. Okay. Okay, so Krishna is saying yes. Dinesh is saying default replication is 3. Dinesh, if you just think from a Hadoop perspective, right? In general, in Hadoop, we say that replication factor equal to 3. I mean, the default replication factor we specify as 3, something like that. But here, there is no configuration parameter called replication factor. The way it works, the more you add number of team members into one replica set, it becomes your replication factor. So for example, in this shard one, I have added 3 node into replica set, but I could have added 4, I could have added 5 as well. You understand what I'm saying? So there is no configuration parameter called replication factor, quote unquote, in MongoDB. Okay, so while building up this replica set, the more you add those servers into the replica set itself, it will become the member of that replica set. How to add that, how to configure, park those questions for the replication class. Okay, Leo is saying, will every machine will have a MongoD? Generally, yes. Yes, Leo. Generally, whichever machine is running a MongoDB process or containing some data file, they have a separate MongoD. Yes, that's how it works in production. Apurv is saying, so each shard is a replica set. Absolutely, Apurv. That's what the idea is. In production, that's what the idea is. So now you can think of the difference between the development architecture and the production architecture, right? So in development, what we can do is I can live with only one config DB. I can live with only one MongoD. My one MongoD itself, can serve as a shard as well. Correct? I'm saying that in case of production, replica set is recommended, and that is only suggested to have configuration as a shard. But I can have one single MongoD also as a shard. That also can be possible. In development, I can work with this. Who can tell me if I do not have multiple MongoD, or if I do not have a replica set in my development environment, why to use Mongos? Is there any reason that I should use Mongos in the development and testing environment, even if I am not using any multiple MongoD or multiple config DB? Whether I should use, or I simply go ahead and ignore that. Yeah, Leo is saying for load balancing. So that's actually right. You can or cannot. Yeah, that's actually right. But again, in development environment, right? So I'm talking about a single user system only. So single developer machine only. So the basic reason is nothing but to go ahead with the similar configuration development only because going forward when we actually move to production or move to stage or UAT, right, I do not have to change anything in the configuration. What I just need to do in while I move for production, I simply go and simply add shards. That's it. Okay, the basic architecture is ready. So just the moment I go to production, I'll simply go and add shards. Okay, that's what I'll do probably. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you. Okay. So now you know that what is Mongos and what is a Mongo, correct? Now you understand that difference.